Looking at both the hazards and the benefits coming in from our most recent series of atmospheric rivers behind me here. A mudslide that is in Colfax in the Sierra foothills. Thankfully, everybody was out of the house, nobody hurt, but the slide coming down a tremendous amount of mud with a lot of pressure with the runoff happening right now. Our flood watch throughout the region continues through Wednesday morning. Excessive runoff. We've had some roadway flooding as well as rises on creeks, streams, and rivers. We'll get to some of those in just a moment. We had a heavy downpour in parts of Tuolumne, Stanislaus, and Calaveras County. So a flood advisory with roadway flooding. Everybody needs to have an evacuation plan, especially since we're still in the thick of things right now. As far as our flood warning for the Merced River, that's going to continue until further notice. It's going to be cresting tomorrow, but we're expecting water to come up to buildings near the park that's right by the Merced River there. There's the crest expected for tomorrow afternoon, and then it will start to recede. And that's really what's happening throughout much of our river system throughout California. Everything's starting to come down a bit, except for 10 monitoring stations that are at above flood stage in the forecast models. It was up into the teens yesterday, so our water is moving through our waterways right now. Still have rain coming down, though. We have some pockets of some heavier precipitation throughout the Sierra foothills. Higher up, it is a mix of rain and snow in the high country, but our winter storm warning continues until Wednesday morning. Falling snow levels will happen overnight tonight. That will be well below the passes. We'll see less precipitation, so not as much accumulation, but snow loading still a possibility. That's when rain falls on snow, and it puts a lot more weight onto areas that have been accumulating snow, say rooftops, and even some cars and trucks and some overhangs. Those have the potential to do some collapse or at least damage with the weight of all that snow. Also, with the rain snow mix and the gusty winds, avalanche warning continues until Wednesday morning throughout the Sierra, with areas of unstable snow could find some holds on Highway 50 in particular. They tend to do a lot of avalanche control on that roadway there. That's right through Sacramento up towards South Lake Tahoe. So here's a look at the rainfall and snow as we take it through Wednesday morning. As I mentioned, snow line is going to fall, but there's not a lot of precipitation left at that point. Winds have been a huge issue with this atmospheric river that came through late last night through today. Winds really started to pick up throughout the day, and our high wind warning will continue through 11 o'clock with peak wind gusts at about 70 miles per hour for the Bay Area, about 60 for the valley. But we've seen some isolated areas with slightly higher gusts. These are just some of them that I picked out throughout our region. Mount Diablo, 78. San Francisco International, 74, had traffic holds for a period of time, so planes weren't even able to take off for a short period of time. McClellan and Mather, that's in the Sacramento area, 60 mile per hour peak gusts, and Sacramento International at 51 mile per hour peak gusts. This is the type of damage it does. Saturated ground, unstable environment, and you see this huge eucalyptus tree. This was just off to the south of downtown Sacramento, blocking a roadway there. They got it cleaned up pretty quickly. And again, no one was hurt in that situation as well. Our rainfall totals over the past 24 hours for Blue Canyon, that's in parts of the Sierra, 3 inches of rain. That's on top of snow, feet of snow at Blue Canyon last week. Grass Valley, Pollock Pines, both in the Sierra foothills, over 2 inches of rain just in the past 24 hours. Jackson in the Mother Lode, that's going to be south of Highway 50 in parts of the foothills, 1.6 inches of rain. In Vacaville on I-80, moving out of Sacramento westbound towards the Bay Area, 1.31 inches of rain. Our hydrologic change is dramatic. From the beginning of our water year, we started to see a few storms pick up, but really after December 25th, things really changed dramatically. That's when we started to see multiple atmospheric rivers come through. Northwest coast was particularly hard hit with the past 3 years of drought. Unfortunately, that is the area that we also have some of our biggest reservoirs. So fast forward to March, and you can see with the contour change that we're now anywhere from about 100 to almost 300% of average. Looking at our atmospheric rivers from December 26th through January 17th, this is when we really started to see things get going. We've had 9. But when we take a look at the entire water year, since October 1st, Southern California, 14 atmospheric rivers. Central California, 19. Northern California, 25. Oregon, 29. And Washington, 26. So multiple atmospheric rivers coming through, making for a very wet October November, December, January, February, March. And it looks like we could end up with a wet April as well. So our precipitation tracker for Sacramento executives, total so far this month, we've had almost 3 inches of rain. So we're sitting well above average at this point. And when we look at the season as a whole, we have over 19.5 inches of rain. That is more than what we usually get in an entire water year. So we're sitting about 5 inches ahead of where we normally sit for the entire water year. And the entire state is well above average, except for Palm Springs, just about an inch behind. But overall, we've made big gains this water year. Also, for the snowpack, we've seen tremendous amount of snow coming through, record-setting snow in some areas, at least on track. We haven't quite ended up the season, but so far, we're closing in on almost the point, that April 1st date, when we start to see more snow melt than, say, snowfall. We're at 217% of average to date. For the statewide average, 208 for that April 1st date. So here's 2 places that we're going to be tracking. Will we hold on to these records? That's going to be for the Central and Southern Sierra, ahead of that 1982-83 pace right now. We've got still some snow yet to come in the forecast. One marker that we're also looking at is the Central Sierra Snow Lab. That's out of UC Berkeley at Donner Summit. So far, we've had 55.36 feet of snow. So we're closing in on the second snowiest year on record, the 82-83 season, at 55.91 feet. Not quite at the 51-52 mark. That was 67.65 feet of snow. So we'll be watching that closely, but we're a little way away from that. Let's look at our releases and some of our reservoirs. Again, Shasta is our biggest one, and we've had some nice gains. Look at that steady line up here. Not quite at the 4.5 million acre feet that we have the capacity for, but we got a lot of snow to melt too, although Shasta is a rain-driven reservoir. So that's going to be more in the way of rainfall than, say, snow melt. However, we've got some ones that are primarily dominated by snowpack and snow melt, and that's going to be Folsom, which had some nice gains. They are releasing the water, though, because there's so much snow in the Sierra that has yet to melt and come down the hill, filling that reservoir. We're also going to look here at Oroville, making some releases, but you'll notice it's been a steady line up. They're releasing about 15,000 acre feet of water a day, but taking in roughly about 37,000 acre feet. So again, the water levels are going up, just releasing very little. Where we see losses, so the gains and losses, the gains are the ones that I mentioned just a moment ago. The loss here is going to be Trinity. And just can't seem to get the water going in. We had a nice little spike there, and then it just flattened out. It's well below average. So that's one of the reasons why we continue in drought for parts of the state, as well as our groundwater issue. And we'll have the new release coming out on Thursday. As far as the overall reservoir conditions, what capacity do we have in terms of percentages? About 60 to 70% full right now. Plenty of capacity for snowmelt or rain to come in. We're at about 85 to over 100% of average for those reservoirs. And then as we move through the Central Valley, 50 to 85% full roughly, and about 85 to over 100% of average right now. So everything around precipitation and reservoirs is starting to come up, except for Trinity, and we still could use some help on Shasta as well. Our rainfall really starts to taper off once we get through March, but right now it looks like we're going to hold on to that likely wetter pattern through the middle and end of March, starting to see a little bit of this relaxing deeper into March. But you can see out in the Pacific a tremendous plume of moisture still trying to work its way through. Timing, total duration of those storms is still a bit uncertain. We'll keep that chance of showers in the forecast for now. A lot to be monitored into next week. For now, we're going to get that break Wednesday and Thursday, much needed break to let that water start to recede.